Good evening and thanks for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Claudia Bucio. It's a big day for several of our local athletes. The Major League Baseball draft is currently taking place down the road in Los Angeles. KSBY sports anchor and reporter Dusty Baker is live from Xbox Plaza. Dusty, what's it looking like out there?
Well, good evening, Claudia. It is bumping, to say the least, right now. We have the Cincinnati Reds currently on the clock. Now, I first got to tell you this. Normally, this draft is not open to the public. It's usually at Studio 42 for MLB Network across the coast in New Jersey. But this was all different because of the All-Star game this weekend out in Los Angeles. And what a special moment it's been for Brooks Lee. We currently also have a pick going on right here in LA, but we're going to get to that in just a little bit. Brooks Lee, though, was selected with the 8th pick in this draft by the Minnesota Twins. He fell by about one slot from where we possibly expected him to go. A lot of people projecting him as high as 1 in the draft by the Baltimore Orioles, but he goes to the Minnesota Twins at 8, and it's an interesting situation in terms of where he now stacks up with the rest of the team around him. We're going to get into all those details at our sports block coming up in our next segment here, but until then, we're going to give you the full rundown with everything else going on in the draft. It's a happening place here tonight in Los Angeles, and we still have 2 more prospects potentially that could be going in this draft. That would be Dylan Beavers out of Cal, who also went to Mission Prep, and then we also have Drew Thorpe, who also played at Cal Poly, teammates with Brooks Lee. We're going to give you all those details as we come up later in sports. Until then, though, reporting live in downtown Los Angeles at the MLB Draft, Dusty Baker, KSBY Sports. Back to you, Claudia.
The Major League Baseball draft is currently taking place in Los Angeles. KSBY sports anchor and reporter Dusty Baker is live down there at the Xbox Plaza. Dusty, all eyes in the country have been on Cal Poly shortstop Brooks Lee, who was expected to be an early pick in this draft. So tell us, where is Brooks Lee going?
Well, good evening, Claudia. In fact, Brooks Lee has been selected. As far as we've been talking about for a very long time, he was a top prospect. Some people saying he could go even number 1 to the Baltimore Orioles. You may say that he slipped a little bit today compared to what we were hearing. We were hearing the Orioles, we were hearing the Pirates at 4, we were also hearing the Cubs at 7. He goes 8th to the Minnesota Twins, and while it may have seemed a little bit unexpected, this is a great fit for Brooks Lee, and we talked to Brooks Lee about his reaction to being picked by these Twins and his expectations moving forward.
It's awesome. I think I'll fit in that system very well, and when I make it to the big league level, it'll be nice. I can't wait to represent the Lee family and the city of San Luis Obispo and Cal Poly. And I'm an old school player just like the rest of the people in my family, so I'm sure I'll fit right in and show them what it's like to be a Lee.
Well, Brooks had an absolutely elite and incredible career at Cal Poly. How about his slash line, first of all? In 2021, he had a 342, a 384, 626 slash line, and somehow it got better. If you're sitting at home and you're wondering what a slash line is, you're looking for an average above 300, an on-base percentage around 330 above is great, and a slugging percentage anywhere above 500 is incredible. Brooks Lee surpassed that with flying colors. In 2022, this season, he hit 357, and on top of that, 15 home runs, 25 doubles. He broke the Cal Poly doubles record his last season with 27, but also an on-base percentage that's just elite at 462, and the slugging percentage of 664, one of the best in the country. It's no shock that he was a top prospect going into this draft, but he's not going to be alone by the end of the day as well. In addition to Brooks being drafted by the Minnesota Twins, you can expect by the end of this first round, we will be probably hearing another local, Dylan Beavers, being drafted. We're not sure exactly where that's going to be just yet. We thought maybe the Oakland Athletics. They selected the 19th pick already. We are currently on the 21st pick with the Seattle Mariners. We will see where he goes. I've been hearing rumors that maybe the New York Yankees would be a pretty good pick as well. They are with the 25th pick in the draft. Either way, we're going to keep you fully updated here with where Dylan Beavers goes. And of course, with Brooks Lee, look at the prospects right now. He's got Royce Lewis to go with, and also Commissioner's talking right now.
The Seattle Mariners select Cole Young, a shortstop.
We will continue to wait on Dylan Beavers. Beavers is still available, at least at this time in the draft. Expect maybe the New York Yankees to jump on him at this time. We'll keep you updated, though, tonight at 10 and 11. Reporting live in downtown Los Angeles at the MLB Draft, Dusty Baker, KSBY Sports. Back to you, Claudia.
Thank you so much, Dusty, and we will have that update for you thanks to Dusty, who is live in LA. It looked like there could be 3 Central Coast athletes with a chance to hear their names called in the first round on the big stage. Cal Poly's Brooks Lee, Cal Berkeley and Mission Prep alum Dylan Beavers, and an outside chance on Cal Poly pitcher Drew Thorpe. KSBY sports anchor Dusty Baker breaks down what took place in the first round of this year's draft.
The 2022 MLB Draft taking place in downtown Los Angeles. Normally it takes place at Studio 42 at MLB Network, but this year with the MLB Draft, also with the All-Star Game taking place here in downtown LA, and a special day for Brooks Lee, who was selected 8th overall by the Minnesota Twins. Brooks Lee coming off an incredible season, a .357 average. On top of that, he had an on-base percentage of .462 and a slugging percentage of .664. We spoke to Brooks Lee about what this move to the Minnesota Twins means to him.
With the 8th pick of the 2022 MLB Draft, the Minnesota Twins select Brooks Lee, a shortstop from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
It's awesome. I think I'll fit in that system very well, and when I make it to the big league level, I can't wait to represent the Lee family and the city of San Luis Obispo and Cal Poly. And I'm an old school player, just like the rest of the people in my family, so I'm sure I'll fit right in and show them what it's like to be a Lee.
Brooks Lee had a historic career, of course, at Cal Poly. Hit 27 doubles in 2021. That broke the school record. This past year, he had 15 home runs and 25 doubles. He should be a very good fit in that Minnesota offense. Of course, he has one of the best bats out of college as well, so we could be seeing him at the MLB level as soon as 2023. And of course, with Royce Lewis at shortstop out for this year, we may see Royce Lewis come back at shortstop. You might see Brooks Lee at second base or third base for the Minnesota Twins.
Hi, I'm Rick Dempsey. With the 33rd pick of the 2022 Major League Baseball Draft, the Baltimore Orioles select Dylan Beavers, an outfielder from UC Berkeley. The Arizona Diamonds will have the next pick.
And then with the 33rd pick in the draft, it was Dylan Bieber selected by the Baltimore Orioles, a power hitter for the Cal Bears, and also he came out of Mission Prep High School, so the Central Coaster will now take his talents to the East Coast for a Baltimore team that is also on a surge right now. And while it's unlikely to be called up during the regular season, Dylan Beavers also projects to be a guy that will eventually be called up sooner than later at the MLB level. He has a hit tool that can already at least transfer at this time to the MLB level. It should be exciting to see what he can do, putting it over the high right field wall at Camden Yards. Here in Los Angeles, it was a special time at the MLB Draft outdoors, and for Brooks Lee and also for Dylan Beavers, it's a day they will never forget. Reporting in downtown Los Angeles at the MLB Draft, Dusty Baker, KSBY Sports.
Thanks, Dusty.
Well, the first and second rounds of the Major League Baseball draft came to a close late Sunday evening, but not before 3 Central Coast athletes heard their names called. KSBY sports reporter Dusty Baker was there in Los Angeles for it all, and boy, Dusty, what a day.
You know, it was really an amazing day, Nina. Talk about a historic weekend for the Central Coast. As you mentioned, 3 superstar athletes heard their names called on the stage for the first time ever in an outdoor venue. That's right, the MLB Draft normally is at Studio 42 in New Jersey, but not this year. And what a time for that change, as Cal Poly shortstop Brooks Lee was selected 8th overall by the Minnesota Twins. Cal Berkeley and Mission Prep alumni Dylan Beavers was selected 33rd overall in the first round of the draft as well. And then late in the second round, almost on point with where the projections lined him up, well, Drew Thorpe, a Cal Poly right-handed pitcher, was selected with the 61st pick by the New York Yankees. A day later, Brooks Lee was out on the field assisting future baseball players at the Larry Lee camp. He helps the community, and he also shares his emotions on being drafted by Minnesota.
It's awesome. I think I'll fit in that system very well, and I can't wait to represent the Lee family and the city of San Luis Obispo and Cal Poly. And I'm an old school player, just like the rest of the people in my family, so I'm sure I'll fit right in and show them what it's like to be a Lee.
Well, Lee was projected to be drafted in many mock drafts at number 1, number 4, and 7, but he's now a Twin, and I'll have a full breakdown of what the future holds for him later in sports. Until then, though, reporting live in studio, Dusty Baker, KSBY Sports, back to you.
Looking forward to it, Dusty. Thank you. KSBY sports reporter Dusty Baker was there in LA for it all. Wow, Dusty, 3
We had 3 of them. I mean, that is unbelievable. Talk about a historic weekend for the Central Coast. And as you mentioned, on top of those 3, we heard their names called in the first round and the second round. First time ever outdoors, by the way, as Cal Poly shortstop Brooks Lee was selected 8th overall by the Minnesota Twins. Cal Berkeley and Mission Prep High alum Dylan Beavers was selected 33rd overall in the first round of the draft as well. And then late in the second round, almost on point with where projections lied for him, Drew Thorpe, a Cal Poly right-handed pitcher, was selected with the 61st pick by the New York Yankees. I got a chance to catch up with Dylan Beavers, who tells me what it means to be a part of the Baltimore Orioles organization. Dylan Beavers, you are a Baltimore Oriole. Tell me about those emotions hearing those words.
I wasn't too sure kind of as the draft was rolling along where I'd end up. And then the Orioles called at that pick, and it was super exciting just knowing I'm going to have, I found a home. Super stoked, grateful they believe in me.
It's pretty obvious why you would believe in him. He's huge, talented, very strong power hitter. Beavers was projected to be drafted in the mid to late first round with the 33rd pick. He was a compensation pick for Baltimore. And I'll have a breakdown of what the future holds for him. That's coming up later in sports. Reporting live in studio, Dusty Baker, KSBY Sports. Back to you, Nina.
All right, Dusty, thank you. Cal Poly's Drew Thorpe and Brooks Lee and Central Coast native Dylan Beavers were selected in the MLB Draft on Sunday. Casey Busher and Dusty Baker break down the selections from Baggett Stadium.
Well, Dusty, what a weekend it was at the MLB Draft, especially for Central Coast natives. We had Brooks Lee, Dylan Beavers, and Drew Thorpe selected in the first 2 rounds of the draft on Sunday. How big is that for this area? And we've talked a lot about producing good talent out of the Central Coast. How big is this?
It's pretty unbelievable when you look at the fact that no draft picks from Cal Poly have been this high. Brooks Lee selected 8th overall. Then you have Dylan Beavers selected 33rd overall. Drew Thorpe 61st. So you have 3 picks within the top 2 rounds. And not just that, they were elite picks as well from established organizations.
And let's start off with talking about Dylan Beavers, who is a Mission Prep graduate from Paso Robles, went and played at Cal, had a very successful time at Cal. He fell to 33. It wasn't expected that he would go there, but he's going to the Orioles. So why do you think the Orioles picked Dylan Beavers, and what are they getting out of him?
Yeah, he was the best name on the board at that time. The Orioles got a steal here at 33. You got a guy that has great power from the outfield. He played right field. He has a ton of pop, slugged over 600 this past season, also a 291 average. So you know that he can hit for average as well. He's a very tall guy. He's 6'4", but has a lot of pop and can also steal a couple bases in the process as well.
And moving over to Drew Thorpe, who is a Cal Poly pitcher this season, finishing 2nd in the country in strikeouts this year, going in the 2nd round to the New York Yankees. What about Drew? What makes this guy so special on the hill?
Well, one thing that's interesting, assessing him at this time, they noticed that his fastball was more flat than most pitchers, which is normally not a good thing. However, so many of his secondary pitches are really what makes him special. He kind of has that Greg Maddux approach, if you will, where he's able to just be a control freak. He walked only 25 hitters this past season. He has great command of all of his secondary pitches to go with that fastball. We've been hearing that if he can develop that fastball at the minor league level, he could very well be an ace at the top of any rotation.
The New York Yankees select Drew Thorpe, a right-handed pitcher from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
The Yankees prospects have struggled from the pitching side of things. Drew Thorpe can be the face that changes it and turns things around for the Yankees rotation.
And the big talk of the draft and of the Central Coast, Brooks Lee has been such a big name, having 2 amazing seasons here at Cal Poly. He ended up going 8th to the Twins. Such an exciting time for Brooks, for the Lee family, for the Central Coast, as he is also from San Luis Obispo. So what about Brooks Lee? How amazing is this guy going to Minnesota?
Well, it's interesting because we were hearing he could go as high as #1 overall. MLB Network had actually said that he looks more like a third baseman. He may shift over there. Either way, though, it is an incredible fit for him because the Twins right now are in the race for first place. You expect a call up for him very soon, sooner than later, possibly in 2023 in May, June maybe. He actually has played in Minnesota before at Wilmar. It was in the Northwestern League, so he's already had some time up north as well. He's going to have a lot more time as well in Minnesota moving forward.
Well, we look forward to seeing what Brooks Lee, Drew Thorpe, and Dylan Beavers do at the next level. We are wishing them the best. For Dusty Baker, I'm Casey Busher. We'll send it back to you in studio.